Um, February 25th, 2012. I talked about something this morning, but I went to the coffee shop to upload a conversation I had with a friend, Dave, yesterday, and I met another friend while I was at the coffee shop, Phil, and I got to express to Phil how my conversation with Dave unfolded. After I had recorded close to an hour with Dave, I shut the computer off and the camera, and then our conversation really elaborated. And it's the way it typically goes. The most important things will not be televised. I think it has to do with unconscious tendencies wanting to protect themselves from being observed, objectified. But the conversation, Dave has been having a particularly difficult time with misreading people. And he doesn't say that he misreads people because he's very much convinced that he reads people correctly. But what we have been working on for many years now, because I read a book by Carolyn Meese called Sacred Contracts. And in the back of the book, there are a list of archetypes that she says are prominent archetypes, characters that arise in time in regularity. Now, this is very similar to Spengler, recognizing that very specific characters arise at a very specific time in the life cycle of a civilization. I think he got it down. I think Campbell wrote that Spengler got it down to every 10 years there was a certain character that arose to fulfill the life cycle of the 1,000-year civilization, and civilizations in his interpretation have a 1,000-year life cycle. So not only could you recognize the characters, you can predict the characters as they arise, where they arise out of, why they arise, how they fulfill themselves, and then once a particular aspect has fulfilled itself, it leaves the stage for the next, and the next, and the next. Anyway, I got to talk to Dave about one particular character that was very prominent, not reading people correctly. And then the events that occur as a result of misinterpretation, misjudgment, misevaluation of the character. And that character is the saboteur. The saboteur, how is it that we can sabotage ourselves? In the Sacred Contracts, I did the little trial and error, the little test that she gives, Carolyn Meese gives in Sacred Contracts. And one of the important characters that arose that I chose in the back of the book for myself, that is a reoccurring character in my life, was the saboteur. And this has to do with self-sabotage, because for me, the importance of self-responsibility and self-accountability plays a big part in my life. And many people have blamed me for a bunch of crap that is not my deal, but since they don't want to own it, they project it on somebody else. And I was a willing martyr, I guess. I didn't know any different. I was young, and it's no blame. As in the I Ching says, good fortune, no blame, when a mishap happens. So, when you're young, you got to just take your blows. But with Dave, he's reaching close to 70 now, and he really wants to figure this out, So I've been working with him, and then I came to a realization, and it has to do with Jeffrey Wolf Green's little synopsis that I went over a few days ago. So I read it out of his book, and his book does not say it as succinctly and clearly as I boiled it down to say. And what I say is, from the metaphysical root of our being, which is a mystery, sprouts our feelings. From our feelings sprout our evaluations, our values. From our values sprout our behavior. And then once our behavior becomes patterned, our role in life arises. So if the role that is speaking to us happens to be the saboteur, if this sabotage, self-sabotage, keeps coming up, I was telling Dave, I said, well, we have to realize that the character or role we play in life stems directly from our behavior that has been patterned. We have to go backwards to find its source. So from our behavior comes our values, from our values our feelings. And I said, right here, this is why I separate our feelings from our emotions. And some people who don't understand this may think this is splitting hairs, but emotions are intellectualized feelings. Feelings, when they spring from the root, they're all over the place. There's an infinite variety of feelings, and they spring spontaneously, and just wait 15 minutes and you'll have another feeling. I remember a counselor telling me when I was thinking on quitting smoking, she said, well, if I could tell you anything, Damon, if you feel like smoking, just wait a few minutes and your feelings will change. So, anyway, of course, all of this is based on my experience, on what I've learned, and, it's a partial picture. Somebody cannot encompass absolutely everything at all times, So this is just basically my interpretation, working hypothesis based on my experience. So with him, and I let him know this, this is just an interpretation. Let's work with it here, though, see if it makes sense, see if it holds some water for you. And he kept bringing up on a regular basis how when he was a child, he was beat by his stepfather with a belt. And I said, imagine it. Well, before he, this is a reoccurring theme in our conversations. And what I asked him was, he started giving scenarios. Well, I said, how did you feel when? He'd give certain examples. What if somebody says somebody had insulted him? And I said, what did you feel? And then he told me what he would do. And I said, that's not a feeling. What were you feeling? And then he couldn't, with many examples, multiple examples of a variety of situations, he kept being unable to state his feelings. And I said, that's not a feeling. That's not a feeling. You got to come to a feeling. I said, now, I could imagine, I could empathize with you and say that if somebody insulted you in that moment of the situation that he's giving an example, you might feel anger and you might feel humiliation. And he went, oh, but he still was unable to share his feelings. What were the feelings? He didn't know.